Hi, and welcome to a half-hour yoga class. We are focusing on breath, creating space in the body as well as space in the mind. So let's get started. We'll find a comfortable seat, allowing the pelvis to roll slightly forward and inviting a light dip in the low back. We want the lumbar spine and low back supported so that our spine can remain effortlessly tall. Taking a moment here, close the eyes, drawing the chin slightly towards the chest, resting the hands on the thighs or knees, palm face down. Taking a moment here and finding your breath, observing where it's flowing in the body. Beginning our practice with Kapalabhati, a reminder that Kapalabhati is short, sharp exhales through the nostrils with the navel moving inwards and slightly up with each exhale. The inhale is automatic. Together, let's take a full inhale and begin Kapalbhati. Taking a full inhale, keeping the length of the spine, exhaling, moving the navel towards the back body. Observing the sensations of the mind and body. Once the breath has come back to its steady rhythm, together we'll take a full inhale and begin Kapalbhati. Taking a full inhale, pelvis all the way up into the chest and throat. Exhaling, keeping the length of the spine, navel moves towards the back body, sensing the space. Observing the sensations of the mind and body. Bowing the head a little more. And moving any props you have under your seat, coming into child's pose, also known as balasana. Allowing the knees to be no wider than hip width apart, creating a little bit of space between the knees as we rest the forehead down onto the floor. Reach the fingers towards the front, spread the fingers wide, and then allow the shoulders to draw back into the sockets. Relax the head and neck. Bringing awareness now to the space between the sit bones. And with your next breath in, I want you to bring awareness and breath down only into the space between the sit bones, feeling the seat expand like a balloon. And then as you exhale, feeling the pelvic floor muscles lightly contract and lift as you sense the breath's exit. On inhale, these pelvic floor muscles slowly release and an invitation of breath is moved down into the space between the hips. And with your exhale, feeling the contraction of your pelvic floor muscles as the breath moves out. A few more times with your own breath. Just observing the space of the pelvic floor and allowing it to be synchronized with the pelvic floor muscles contraction on exhale and expansion on inhale. And with your next breath, as you sense the breath initiating in the pelvic floor, ride that wave of breath along the spine as you float forward into tabletop, allowing the knees to be slightly behind the hips, the hands shoulder width apart, slightly forward of the shoulders. Spread the fingers wide. Now from here, I want you to begin to lift the gaze, draw the jawline back as you broaden across the collarbones, not allowing the ribs to blow out, but I want you to contain the low ribs, corset and knit the abdominal muscles in, only allowing the curve to come from the upper back. The back of the neck is long, look up, draw the jawline back. Take one full breath, sensing the breath from the pelvis along the front body, expanding into the collarbones. And then with your exhale, the pelvic floor muscles contract as you round the spine, chin into the chest, drawing back, chest to thighs, seat to heels, coming back into child's pose, balasana. With your next breath in this seat, you float and ride that wave of breath forward, coming into tabletop, broaden across the collarbones, lift the gaze, draw the jawline back, hug the low ribs in, feel the breath expand across the front body. And then with your exhale, the pelvic floor muscles contract round the spine, chin into the chest, chest to thighs, seat to heels, draw back, balasana, child's pose. Keeping your eyes closed and begin to move dynamically with your own breath. I want you to really focus on feeling the wave of breath and synchronizing the body with the breaths. Inhale and exhale. Every exhale, the pelvic floor muscles contract and you mindfully move back into balasana. As you move here dynamically, every inhale, the breath initiates in the seat as you envision the breath moving across the front body, lifting up and expanding across the collarbones. As you exhale, rounding the upper back, feel the expansion of the back body as you contract, exhaling, drawing back, balasana. And with your next inhale, riding forward into tabletop. Keeping the fingers spread wide, back of the neck is long, bringing your hands a little closer together and your knees a little closer together. Kick the right leg back, press through the heel, hug the low ribs in. Hold here for a moment and draw the right hip down so that the hips are level with the mat. Spread the fingers wide, press the floor away with the hands, holding here or maybe reaching that left arm forward. Hugging everything and breathing here. And then exhale, placing the hand down, knee down. From here, kicking the left leg back, press through the heel, draw the left hip down, reach the right hand forward, spread the fingers wide, back of the neck is long, and really sense yourself lifting, inflating the body long. And then exhale, hand down, knee down. Again, moving across the other side, pressing the right leg back, left arm reaches forward, hug the low ribs in. I really want you to take one full breath, sensing that you can reach out with the fingertips and you can press farther away with the heels. Feel the body be filled with breath. The spine is breathed long with breath. And then as you exhale, hand down, knee down. Moving with your own breath, switching sides. Synchronizing again the body's movement with the breath. There is no movement without breath. And then from here, coming down onto the knees. If you have sensitive knees, you can grab a blanket. I have a little bit of cushioning here. And then we'll come into gate pose. So we'll come into the side of the mat and we'll take the left leg out to the side, placing the left hand down on the left thigh, very little weight in that hand as you reach the right arm overhead. And instead of leaning into the left side, I really want you to bow the right side body out. And I want you to lean into the curve of the right side body. Allow the chin to draw softly towards the chest. And I want you to imagine as if you can breathe space between each rib. Keep reaching the fingertips overhead as you bow into the right side body. Sensing every breath begin in the pelvis as it rides along that right side body. How much space can you breathe into the right side body? One more breath here. And with your next inhale, inflate back to center, bringing both knees down. Taking a moment to observe the difference between the left side and right side. And then now taking the right leg out to the side. Very little weight in that right hand as it rests onto the outer right thigh. On your next inhale, reaching the left arm up and overhead. And then now begin to bow into the left side body. You can keep the eyes closed, gaze is internal. And really focusing your mind's eye on breathing space and expansion across the left side body. Keep leaning into the arc of the left side body. And the mind's eyes on the breath, creating space between each rib. And just one more breath here. And on your next inhale, inflate back up to center, coming back onto our knees. And then moving the blanket or the cushion off to the side. As we come back down and step back into our first down dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Now if you're new to this pose, again we want the hands, fingers spread wide, shoulder width apart. And I want you to draw again the shoulders back into their sockets, relax the head and neck. If you need to, bend the knees deeply to allow the pelvis to lift up high into the sky. I want you to press the floor away with the hands and the heels and imagine that you can begin to breathe the spine long with breath. Relaxing the head and neck. Every inhale begins in the pelvis. It rides along the spine all the way up to the base of the skull. And every exhale, feeling the pelvic floor muscles gently contract, more length in the spine. Just one more breath here. Again, bend the knees as you need to. And with your next exhale, mindfully stepping up to the spot between the hands. Coming into a forward fold, also known as Uttanasana. Bend the knees deeply to allow yourself to rest your navel and chest. Your navel on the thighs. So I don't want to see any of this. If you feel like you're bracing yourself with your low back, I want you to bend the knees deeper and allow the navel to literally rest on the thighs. Relax the head and neck. Feet are a little closer than hip width apart. Relax the head and neck. Taking a moment and again bringing your awareness back to the breath, breathing the spine long. Where your mind goes, the energy follows with it. So invite space with your mind. Our mind and our thoughts are so powerful. Every exhale, feeling the pelvic floor muscles contract, feeling the support that this pelvic contraction provides. With your next inhale, coming halfway up. Again, keeping a flat back. So placing the hands on the shins, not on the knees, on the shins or even on the thighs. And I want you to gently press the hands against the legs, pull the spine long, back of the neck is long, no creases in the back of the neck. One more breath here. And with your next breath, finding the breath in the seat, coming through a flat back as arms reach out overhead all the way to stand. Reach the fingertips towards the sky. Allow the tail to draw down, the abdomen back. One full bold breath across the front body. Sense the breath boldly across the front body. And as you exhale, hands come to heart center. This is also known as samastiti. Bringing your awareness back to the breath. With your next breath, drop the hands, follow the breath out of the seat, along the spine as the arms reach overhead, tail down, abdomen back. Exhaling through a flat back, bending the knees as you need to into a forward fold. Reach out with the hands, relax the head and neck. Inflating halfway up through a flat back, Ardha Uttanasana, length across the spine. And then as you exhale, I want you to take a long step with the right foot back, knee to the ground. Again, grabbing your blanket if you need to. Now, it's really important to check out the setup. Ideally, if I had a blanket, I would put this across so that when I come onto the tops of my feet, my knees and my feet are in one line. But I don't have that, so if you have a blanket, please do so. And I want your knee behind your pelvis, behind your hips. 90-degree bend in this front knee, and instead of coming into this expression, Anjaneyasana, I want you to draw the tail down, abdomen back. You'll feel a much greater stretch across the right psoas. Just breathe into it. Allow yourself to breathe into any spaces that you feel that have restriction. Placing both hands down, really finding this pelvic rotation first. Observing the body, observing the breath. Imagine the spine is even growing taller. And with your next inhale, reaching both arms overhead, I want you to lift the gaze and draw the jawline back and slightly reach the thumbs back in space. Allow the shoulders down the back. Really drawing the tail down, abdomen back. Lean into the arc of the upper back. Allowing yourself to move the breath into any restrictions that you may feel here. Strength and stability with breath. And with your next exhale, planting the hands and stepping back into plank pose. You can move the blanket off to the side. The whole body is enlivened in plank. Spread the fingers wide and press the floor away. One more breath here. Whole body's active. And as you exhale, bending the elbows all the way down onto the floor. Coming onto the tops of the feet. Hands come back by the sides, by the low ribs. Relax the forehead down onto the floor. Draw the shoulder blades together and down the back. And then with your next inhale, I want you to imagine that you're pulling the mat back with the hands as you envision your spine. With your next inhale, moving forward and then up. Coming into Cobra Pose, Bhujangasana. Draw the tail down, abdomen back, and press the tops of the feet into the mat. I want very little weight in the hands. I want you to just use the hands as sort of an invitation to broaden across the collarbones. The back of the neck is long. Sensing the breath moving down on each inhale into the pelvis, along the front body all the way up into the chest and throat. One more breath here. And then as you exhale, release. Pressing up to all fours, and exhale, pressing back into downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. With your next inhale, lifting the right leg up and back, open up that hip. Press the floor away with the hands. Relax the head and neck. And with your exhale, round knee to nose, shoulders glide over the wrist. Try to squeeze the knee in as you lightly step that foot through. Coming down onto the back knee of the left leg. And again, taking a moment to make sure when you come up that the knee is slightly behind the pelvis and you have a nice 9-degree bend in the front thigh. Again, drawing the tail down, abdomen back, not towards the thigh, but I want you to draw it back. And then from here, taking a moment, hands onto the hips. Finding the pelvic rotation, the spine steady and tall. Breathing length. breathing space into any areas that you feel tight or restricted. Imagine and envision, see the breath creating space in those areas. And with your next inhale, both arms reach forward. Lift the gaze, draw the jawline back, draw the thumbs back in space. Leaning into the arc of the upper back as you draw the shoulder blades down. Sense stability in the breath. Every exhale, feeling the pelvic floor muscles gently contract. Every inhale, feeling breath inflating across the front body. And then with your next exhale, plant the hands and then step forward, fold forward into Uttanasana, standing forward, fold, bending the knees as you need to, relax the head and neck. With your next inhale, coming through a flat back, spread the fingers wide, coming all the way up to stand. Reach the hands back, breathing space across the front body. And then as you exhale, hands to heart center. We'll do this one more time. With your next inhale, arms reach up overhead, spread the fingers wide. And then as you exhale, lengthen, reach out with the fingertips, bending the knees as you need to, coming into a forward fold. Inflating through a flat back halfway up, breathe the spine long. And then as you exhale, long step with the left foot back. Take the left knee down. And then again, checking out your stance, making sure that you have an appropriate stance. The knee is slightly behind the pelvis. And then from here, tail down, abdomen back. Inhale, arms reach up. And then from here, letting the hands come out into goalpost arms. With your next exhale, I don't want you to move anything but your spine, and imagine that you're only twisting from the spine. And with your next exhale, I want you to begin to twist over to the right. Keep drawing the low ribs in, create length in the spine, and then as you exhale, begin to twist. Not trying to find a deeper twist by only moving the elbows or moving the left hip forward. I really want you to imagine that you're twisting and rotating from the spine. Every exhale, feeling the pelvic floor muscles contract, navel moves towards the back body. One more breath. And then on your inhale, inflate back to center. And as you exhale, planting the hands, stepping back into plank pose. Spread the fingers wide, the whole body is enlivened, imagining from the heels to the back of the head is one strong flat line. And with your exhale, bending the elbows, pelvic contraction, guide you slowly, mindfully all the way onto the floor. Planting the tops of the feet into the mat, hands by the low ribs. On the inhale, roll the shoulder blades up and back, lifting up. Cobra pose, Bhujangasana. Tail down, abdomen back. And then imagine that you can breathe through the gateway of your shoulders. Every inhale, creating length, very little weight in the hands. Every exhale, feeling the power of the pelvic floor contraction. One more breath here. And as you exhale, release, pressing up into all fours, tuck the toes under, press back into downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. On your next inhale, lifting the left leg up and back, open up that hip. Equal weight in both hands, and imagine that you can breathe the spine long as you relax the head and neck. And as you exhale, round, knee to nose, shoulders glide over the wrists lightly, step that foot through. Again, grabbing your cushion, your blanket for your right knee. Finding the appropriate stance as you place your hands onto the hips. Knees slightly behind the pelvis, and you find the tail down, abdomen back. Inhale, arms reach up, and then bringing the hands onto goalpost arms. One more breath. Inhale, finding length along the spine, and then as you exhale, as the navel moves towards the back body, you begin to rotate over to the left. Back of the neck is long. Every exhale, see how much you can rotate very mindfully, bringing your mind's eye into the spine. The only thing that moves is the spine, very gently rotating. With your next inhale, inflating back up. And then from here, as you exhale, plant the hands and then step back into downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. From here, coming onto the knees. And then I have sensitive knees, so again, I like to take a cushion, but I don't need so much support, so I'll just roll the mat back in half. I'm going to tuck my toes under. I'm coming into a modified version of camel pose, Ustrasana. I place my hands not on my low back, but where the pockets would be of your jeans. Again, tail down, abdomen back. It's this action. And then from here, drawing the shoulder blades up and down the back, lift the gaze, and with your next inhale, begin to broaden across the collarbones, expand across the rib cage as you look up and draw the jawline back. Bold, big, beautiful breaths across the front body. Now allowing the head to relax down, but support your neck, protect your neck by drawing the chin slightly in towards the chest. A few more breaths, envisioning light and space in the area of the sternum. Every breath, you're inviting space. And in that space, sensing peace. Vitality. One more big, bold breath. And on your inhale, inflating back up, and then coming onto all fours, finding a neutral spine. Close the eyes. Closing the eyes and envisioning that you can breathe the spine long. Imagining as if there was a string at the crown of your head and a string at your tailbone. And as you inhale, someone's gently pulling these strings in opposite directions. And every time you inhale, you sense more space between each vertebrae. Okay, from here, unraveling the mat if you have it rolled up and coming onto lay onto our backs. Not allowing the hugging the knees into the chest yet, but just take a moment and windshield wiper your legs and knees side to side. And then from here, scooting the hips over to the right, knees over to the left. So move the hips over to the right, knees over to the left. Gentle spinal twist. You can cactus your arms. You can take them out to the side. Bringing your awareness to your breath again. Sensing the beauty in the breath. All life and possibility is in your inhale. All peace and serenity is in your exhale. And then from here, bringing the knees back to center, bringing the hips over to the left, knees over to the right. Again, every breath, allow yourself to surrender and let go. Inviting yourself to be fully present with your breath, the beauty of your breath. Observing, sensing. And then from here, drawing the knees into the chest, hugging onto your shins. And like we did in the beginning of class, I want you to bring your awareness into the pelvis. And inviting breath only here in the seat. On inhale, breath moves down only into the pelvic bowl, into the basin of the pelvic floor. And then as you exhale, allow the exhale to lengthen twice as long as inhale. The mind's eyes on the breath, and the breath is inviting you to surrender, to let go. Slowly making your way into Shavasana, spreading the arms out by the sides, space for your armpits to breathe. Separate the feet, space for your inner thighs to breathe. Allow the shoulders to move down away from the ears. Close the eyes. And here I want you to allow the space between the eyebrows soften and melt. And the eyeballs roll deep into the sockets. The tongue rolls to the back of the throat. The muscles of the cheeks just relax. Feeling the whole body surrender into the support of the earth. And envisioning the area, the awareness that lays outside of the skin. Sensing deeply the area outside of the surface of the skin. Envisioning yourself now as the spacious awareness. You are spacious awareness, observing the sensations of breath.